Quasimodo's face with her scarf. The rowdy crowd suddenly grew quiet and watched. "Stop that at once!" Frollo ordered Esmeralda. "At once!" "Yes, your honor," answered Esmeralda. "Just as soon as I free this poor creature." Frollo was enraged. "I forbid it!" Esmeralda cut Quasimodo's rope. "How dare you defy me?" Frollo roared. "You mistreat this poor boy the same way you mistreat my people," Esmeralda protested. "You're the minister of justice, but your cruelest is those who needs your help the most." "Silence!" Frollo shouted. "Justice!" Esmeralda shouted back. The crowd gasps, anticipating at her boldness. "Mark my words," said Frollo through clenched teeth. "You will pay for this insolence." "Then it appears," Esmeralda told him, removing Quasimodo's crown, "that we've crowned the wrong fool. The only fool I see is you." She tossed the crown at Frollo's feet. Delighted, the crowd cheered. Frollo sighed to Phoebus, "Arrest her." Esmeralda laughed. "Just try it." She tossed some powder into the air and, hidden behind a puff of smoke, took off with Dashali at her heels. The soldiers followed, but she disappeared. Dodging and weaving her way through the crowd, "The gypsy's witchcraft must stop, Captain," Frollo said to Phoebus. "Find her and bring her to me, alive." Then he glared at Quasimodo. "I'm sorry, master," said Quasimodo. Tears streamed down his cheeks. "I will never disobey you again." At top of parade, the gargoyles looked on sadly as their friend, his head hung his shame, trundling up the steps to the cathedral. That afternoon, the city streets glistening in the drizzling rain, Esmeralda and Dashali together, disguised as an old man, slipped into the side of Notre Dame. "Shh!" she whispered to her little goat. "We'll hide here." Esmeralda gazed in wonder up at the cathedral's arched ceiling. The light from outdoors shining through the stained glass added a glow of colours and warmth to the grey stone. As she stood in the silence of the great cathedral, her troubles outside seemed far away. Then she heard a faint sound behind her. Phoebus suddenly emerged from the shadows. "You!" gasped Esmeralda. Phoebus nodded. "You gave us quite a chase." Esmeralda grabbed a candle and held it into the air. "Don't come any closer," she warned him. Phoebus smiled. "I was just coming to apologize." He bowed. "My name is Phoebus." He paused and grinned. "It means sun god." Esmeralda grinned back. Then she grew serious. "You're not arresting me." "Not as long as you're in here," said Phoebus. "You have sanitary. You can't be arrested if you ask for the protection of the church." Esmeralda was confused. "If you're not going to arrest me, then what do you want?" Phoebus smiled. "I'd settle for the introduction." Esmeralda hesitated a few seconds and gave him her name. "Esmeralda," repeated Phoebus softly. It was a beautiful name. The sound of footsteps made them turn. Frollo, escorted by two soldiers, strode up into them. "Good work, Captain," he said, smiling broadly. "Now arrest the gypsy woman." "You tricked me," she said, sounding both disappointed and furious. Phoebus drew his sword and approached Esmeralda. "Claim sanitary," he whispered to her. Frollo spoke. "I'm waiting, Captain." Phoebus turned to him. "I'm sorry, sir," he reported, "but the woman has claimed sanitary. There's nothing I can do." Esmeralda trembled with relief. The soldiers had saved her. "Well then, drag her outside," said Frollo. "You can arrest her there. Take her to—" An angry voice interrupted him. "You will not touch her." the Archdeacon, his robe leaping behind him, crossed the stone floor. He modified with a sweeping gesture to Frollo. You must leave Notre Dame. He turned to Esmeralda. Do not be frightened, Minister Frollo. Learned years ago to respect the sanctity of the church. You've been granted sanitary. So long as you remain here, you are safe. As the Archdeacon unsheathed the soldiers out, Frollo leaned close to Esmeralda's ear. You think you've outwitted me? He hissed. But I am patient, man, and we both know gypsies don't do well inside stone walls. You've chosen a magnificent place to stay, but it's a prison nonetheless. Set one foot outside Notre Dame, and you're mine. As soon as he left, Esmeralda ran to the door with the Shani at her side. As she peered, a soldier stood at every exit. Don't worry, she said to the little goat. If Frollo thinks he could keep us here, he's wrong. The Archdeacon came up behind her. Don't act rashly, my child, he warned her. It was be unwise to arouse Frollo's anger any further. I thought if just one person could stand up to him, then. The Archdeacon smiled sadly. You can't right all the wrongs of this world by yourself. Well, one thing is sure, said Esmeralda. No one out there is gonna help. Perhaps, suggested the Archdeacon, looking toward the altar. There is something in here you can. He left her alone in silence of Notre Dame. Esmeralda closed her eyes and prayed. When did she raise her head? She saw Quasimodo watching her. As soon as their eyes met, he ran for the door leading to the bell tower. Wait, Esmeralda called out, running after him. I like to talk to you.